In an age ruled by impulses, where distractions dominate every waking hour and comfort is placed above character, the pursuit of self-discipline is no longer just a virtue. It is a form of rebellion. The ancient Stoics understood that mastery over the self is the highest form of freedom. On Stoic marrow, we are not chasing trends. We are awakening the part of you that refuses to be ruled by weakness. Comment the phrase, "Discipline is my freedom." Let that be your first act of will today, because without discipline, your intentions mean nothing. Your dreams dissolve. 2,000 years ago, a Roman emperor sat in a war tent on the edge of the empire and fought this exact same battle in his private notebook. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man alive, and still, every morning, he had to talk himself out of bed. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, he told himself, tell yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being. He was not writing for us. He was writing to survive himself, and yet what he discovered in that private struggle became one of the most enduring blueprints for discipline the world has ever produced. Self-discipline is not a personality trait some people are born with and others are not. It is not motivation, which flares up and burns out. It is a discipline in the truest sense, trained, repeated, and forged through principle. The Stoics understood this better than almost anyone in history because they lived through plague, exile, betrayal, and empire, and still built minds that could not be shaken. Today, we extract 12 of their sharpest principles, the ones that, if practiced, will rebuild your capacity for discipline from the inside out. Stay until the end, because the 12th principle is the one that ties every other one together, and without it, the rest will eventually collapse. Principle number 1, command your first impression. The Stoics believed that between an event and your reaction to it, there is a gap, and inside that gap lies your entire freedom. A rude email arrives, a friend cancels on you, the gym feels impossible today. Your mind wants to sprint straight from stimulus to reaction, but the disciplined mind pauses in that gap and asks a single question: what is actually true here, and what is my mind adding to it? Consider how this played out for Epictetus' students. He taught them that it is never the event itself that disturbs a person, but the judgment they attach to it. A storm at sea is simply a storm. It becomes terror only once the mind decides to call it a catastrophe. This is not a suggestion to feel nothing. It is a call to insert one heartbeat of awareness between the world and your response to it. Most suffering is not caused by events themselves, but by the story we immediately attach to them. Master the pause, and you master the story. Practice it today. The next time something irritates you, count to 3 before you speak, and notice how much of the irritation was ever really necessary. Principle 2. Separate what is yours from what is not. Nothing wastes discipline faster than fighting battles that were never yours to fight. The Stoics drew a hard line between what lies within your control, your judgments, your effort, your choices, and everything outside it. Other people's opinions, the weather, the outcome of a job interview, the actions of a stranger. Discipline collapses when you pour your limited energy into things you cannot change. Epictetus opened his entire philosophy with this single distinction, because he understood it was the foundation everything else was built on. He had been enslaved, then crippled, then exiled, circumstances almost entirely outside his control, and yet he became one of history's freest minds because he refused to spend his will on what he could not govern. Ask yourself, in any stressful moment, is this actually mine to control? If it is not, release it fully. If it is, act on it completely. Discipline strengthens the instant you redirect all of that energy toward the one thing you can always govern, yourself. Principle number 3, treat discomfort as data, not danger. The undisciplined mind treats discomfort as an emergency to escape. The disciplined mind treats it as information to examine. Cold water in the morning, a hard conversation, the burn in your legs on a run. None of it is actually dangerous. It is simply unfamiliar. Seneca, despite his wealth, deliberately practiced periods of poverty, eating simple food and wearing rough clothing, asking himself, "Is this the condition I feared?" Each time he found the fear had been larger than the reality. This is the exact mechanism behind why disciplined people seem unbothered by things that paralyze everyone else. They have simply practiced proving to themselves, in small controlled doses, that discomfort will not destroy them. You do not need to suffer needlessly to build this. A cold shower, a skipped meal, an uncomfortable conversation you have been avoiding, each one is a rehearsal. Because a mind that fears discomfort will always negotiate its way out of discipline, and a mind that has tested discomfort and survived it stops fearing the negotiation altogether. Principle number 4, choose your response to what you cannot choose. Epictetus was born into slavery and later crippled, likely by a master who deliberately twisted his leg, yet he taught some of the most liberated philosophy in human history. His central claim was simple and unshakable. Circumstances do not determine your character. Your response to circumstances does. He lost his freedom, his health, and eventually his homeland when philosophers were banished from Rome. And still, none of it touched the one thing he considered truly his, the governing part of his own mind. You will not choose most of what happens to you today. The traffic, the criticism, the unexpected bill, the diagnosis, the layoff. But you will always choose what you do next. Discipline is not the absence of hardship. It is the presence of a chosen response inside hardship. This is the difference between a person who is broken by circumstance and a person who is only bent by it and continues moving forward anyway. Principle 5, rehearse adversity before it arrives. The Stoics practiced something called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of misfortune. Not to invite anxiety, but to strip disaster of its shock value. Before a difficult meeting, imagine it going wrong and ask yourself, could I survive that? Could I still act with integrity inside it? Seneca advised his friends to mentally rehearse exile, poverty, and loss, not because these things were likely, but because a mind that has already visited its worst-case scenario cannot be ambushed by it later. This is the opposite of pessimism. It is preparation. When real adversity arrives, and it always eventually does, the person who has rehearsed it in advance responds with steadiness, while the person who never considered it responds with panic. When you have already met the worst case in your mind and found that you are still standing, the real version of that adversity loses most of its power over you. Principle 6. Guard the mind like a fortress. What you allow into your mind daily becomes the architecture of your character. Endless scrolling, aimless comparison, hours of noise. These are not neutral. They are small deposits of chaos that erode discipline one grain at a time. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly that a person's life is dyed by the color of their thoughts, and he treated his own mind the way a commander treats a besieged city, worth defending at every gate. Notice what happens after 30 minutes of mindless scrolling. Irritability, restlessness, a strange dissatisfaction with a life that, moments earlier, felt perfectly fine. This is not an accident. It is the direct cost of undisciplined consumption. Guard your inputs as carefully as you guard your actions, because a fortress with an open gate cannot claim to be secure, no matter how strong its walls are. Principle number 7, do the necessary thing, not the urgent thing. Every day presents a flood of urgent, noisy demands. The notification, the request, the fire that needs putting out. But the disciplined person asks a quieter question underneath all that noise. What is actually necessary right now for the person I'm trying to become? Urgency is loud, but often meaningless. Necessity is quiet, but always meaningful. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire under constant emergency, plague, war, betrayal, and still carved out time each day to return to his private writing, the very notebook that became his meditations. He understood that the urgent will always scream louder than the necessary, and that a disciplined life requires deliberately choosing the second over the first, again and again, even when nobody is applauding the choice. Principle number 8. Accept the cost before you take the reward. Every discipline has a hidden price tag, and undisciplined people are those who want the reward without ever agreeing to pay the cost. You want the strong body, but not the discomfort of the workout. You want the calm mind, but not the discipline of silence. You want the successful career, but not the years of unglamorous repetition beneath it. The Stoics were relentless on this point. Decide in advance whether you accept the full cost of what you are chasing. Epictetus taught his students to ask, before any pursuit, at what price? Because everything of value costs something, and pretending otherwise only guarantees disappointment later. If you accept the price beforehand, paying it in the moment becomes far easier, because you are no longer negotiating with a cost you already agreed to. Principle number 9. Let go of the applause. A mind addicted to approval will never be disciplined, because it will always bend toward whatever earns praise instead of what is right. Marcus Aurelius warned himself constantly against the trap of seeking recognition, knowing that the opinions of others are, ultimately, outside his control, no matter how much power he held. Consider how much of your own daily effort is secretly aimed at being seen, rather than at doing the actual work. The disciplined life often looks unremarkable from the outside. Early mornings nobody witnesses, refusals nobody applauds, quiet consistency nobody photographs. The freest, most disciplined people are those who have quietly stopped performing for an audience and started answering only to their own standard. Because a standard that depends on applause will collapse the moment the applause stops. Principle 10. Practice in small things. First, discipline is not built in the dramatic moments. It is built in the boring ones, making the bed, finishing the small task, resisting the small temptation nobody will ever notice. The Stoics trained themselves in minor deprivations precisely so that when a major trial arrived, the muscle was already strong. This mirrors something true in nearly every discipline in history. The soldier who trains in peacetime is the one who survives war. The athlete who drills the fundamentals is the one who performs under pressure. Do not wait for a crisis to test your discipline. Build it quietly in rooms where no one is watching, because the strength you build in private is the only strength you can reliably access in public. Principle number 11. Remember that time is the only currency. Seneca wrote that people are careful with their money, but careless with something far more valuable, their time, as though it could be replaced. He observed that people will fight fiercely to protect their property, yet hand over their days to whoever asks, without a second thought. Every hour spent in distraction is an hour permanently withdrawn from the life you are trying to build. The disciplined person does not treat time as infinite. They treat it as the scarce resource it actually is, and they spend it like someone who understands that the account cannot be refilled, that no amount of success later can buy back an hour lost today. Principle number 12. Return to the present moment always. Discipline collapses under the weight of an imagined future or a regretted past. But no one has ever failed at the present moment. You do not need discipline for the next 10 years. You need it for the next 10 minutes. Marcus Aurelius returned to this idea again and again in his private writing, reminding himself that the present is the only thing any person truly possesses, and the only place any real action has ever occurred. Master this single moment, then the next, then the next. That is the entire secret. Not grand willpower, but 1,000 small returns to the task in front of you. This is the principle that ties every other one together, because pausing before reacting, separating what is yours, tolerating discomfort, choosing your response, rehearsing adversity, guarding your mind, choosing the necessary, accepting the cost, releasing the applause, and practicing in small things. Every single one of them can only ever be done right now, in this moment, and never anywhere else. None of these 12 principles are complicated. They were not complicated for a Roman emperor, a formerly enslaved teacher, or a Stoic statesman forced into exile. What made them powerful was not their difficulty, it was their repetition. Discipline is not a decision you make once. It is a conversation you have with yourself every single morning in the dark, before the world is watching. So tomorrow, when the alarm sounds and that same old whisper returns, 5 more minutes, you will already know what to say back. Not because it will be easy, but because, principle by principle, you have already built the mind that does not negotiate. If this resonated with you, comment the phrase, "Discipline is my freedom" one more time, subscribe to Stoic Marrow, and carry these 12 principles with you into the one moment they will actually be tested, the very next choice you make.